So, a very interesting aspect of your life was that your father was enamored with Arabian horses, and he went over to England because there was a woman there that had one of the finest Arabians ever.
Yeah, Arabian breeding farms.
Yeah, and her story and the story of the woman she got her horse from, Lady Anne Blunt, was fascinating. Lady Anne Blunt was so enamored with these Arabians. Now, this is an upper crust English woman who went to live with the Bedouins in the desert in Saudi Arabia, because these horses were rare and precious, and they wouldn't sell them. If they liked you, they would transact for the horses, but short of that, you weren't going to get these horses.
You might get the does, but you won't get the real horses.
Yeah. So tell us about that. Tell us about growing up with that, learning about that, preserving this bloodline, taking it on for the number of the years that you did.
Well, I didn't grow up with them. That's all I could remember. Even as a kid, it was just fun looking back. My dad had imported, among other things, one of the Arabian stallions, a beautiful white Arabian stallion that actually had been to war in the desert. He even had a saber cut on his jaw. And we were under the manager's son and I would be under he was so sweet, under his feet in the stall, mush brushing his underbelly, and we could only reach up so far. So when he came in, the horse looked beautiful up so far, and then the rest of it was untouched. It was kind of funny. But anyway, I grew up with some of the best Arabians probably in the world at that time, because Lady Anne Blunt had gotten friendly enough with the Arabians in a particular tribe, because each tribe has different bloodlines, and some are better than others. And so she got very friendly with the ones that had the bloodlines that she was interested in, and was able to bring some back to England. And her daughter, Lady Wentworth, went on with that breeding program. And that was at the time when my dad was traveling for his business. And he saw this little ad. He saw this little ad in a sport magazine while he was languishing in the hotel. And he thought, gee, I'd like to go. That's fascinating. It said Crabbit Farm by appointment only. So that fascinated him enough that he did go and see her, and saw some of the beautiful horses that she had. But he had to go a number of times because she was pretty much the same way her mother was. You have to get to know her, and she has to like you, and she has to think that you're going to do a good job with the horses that you take. And so she, after a period of time, she was allowed my dad to get a group of horses and bring to this country, because she thought, since the business was in its infancy then, that he would do an adequate job for them in the United States, which he did. We had people coming because they were rare and beautiful and pure. The bloodlines were so pure that people all over the country came to buy stock there, and he went on for quite some time until I got old enough to want to retire as well. And then I took over, not with the farm, but I took some of the best stock that he had and went on as a second generation breeder, and did that for another 25 years. And so we appreciated enjoying the value of the horses and the quality of them, and it was great fun to be able to preserve that in this country, because it's not easy. You have to be very careful, and you have to cull away and be kind of cruel sometimes in what you keep. But the bloodline got so pure in this one particular stallion, whose name was Raffles. He had been inbred to this bloodline by Lady Wentworth in England, and his blood was so pure that even 7, 8 generations down, people look at it and say, "That's a Raffles baby."
And if you talk to anybody in the Arabian world, they know raffles.
They do.
So my mother won a Lifetime Achievement Award for raising Arabians. And when she did, I think you got, 180 letters from all over the world.
Wow, it was amazing.
So what kind of a quality do you feel like one has to have to get 180 letters from all over the world?
Well, if I had to put it in one word to begin with, which is what was stated in so many of the letters, which is kind of rare in the horse world and the horse trading, was honesty. And I never pretended what I had or didn't have. I showed it to them and I explained what the qualities were, and I couldn't do it any other way. So it's funny sometimes. I had to not speak of things. People would always ask me at horse shows when they say, "Oh, come over and evaluate the horse. I want to see that horse." And then you go and look over and say, "Oh gosh, what am I going to say about this horse?" And so you say, "Oh, she has a beautiful tail," or something like that, because I would not tell them that they had what they didn't have. And that's why so many people get in there, because that's so hard to find, I have to admit, in the horse world.
That's great to hear. And just again, the work that I do with the subconscious mind, it's so powerful to be authentic.
Yes. Oh, yes. People recognize it immediately, and they have to deal with the hustlers, and they do. They hustle back, but people recognize it when they want what they want. They definitely recognize it.
And I think it's Jamie Kern-Lima, who's famous all over the world, a wonderful gal, who said there's such relief in just being who you really are.
Yeah.
And I have to, again, say with the work that I'm doing, people, it's like letting go of a 150-pound backpack when you stop trying to be somebody you're not.
Yeah. I've been doing little videos right now, and that was one of them. That why try and be someone else all your life? Because then you never know who you are, and you miss out on the beauty and glory of that existence, which is much more rewarding than anything that you can pretend to be. And yeah, you're right.
I first met Michael while traveling for the Arabian Horse Owners Foundation. When in Florida, I visited Max Culpepper, who owned him at the time. Michael had been trained for pleasure and won consistently in open competition. At 4 years old, Max rode him in the Florida 100-mile endurance ride, which is a particularly grueling event. The deep sand, rocky terrain, extreme heat and humidity proved too much for many of the contenders. Even the most fit lost condition. Michael won that ride with no loss of condition and went on to win the following 2 years as well, to retire the Challenge Trophy. The replacement was named the Michael Trophy. At the time of my visit, Michael was training with famed Western trainer and championship competitor Monty Foreman at his facility nearby. Monty was also teaching Max how to ride him. I was offered to ride, and there began my love affair with Michael. This was the most agile, responsive, fast, athletic body I had ever put my legs around. I was doing figure eights, rollbacks, gallops, and stops with my legs, shifting of weight in the saddle, and in tension, but very little rein. I grew up on the backs of my dad's horses, usually bareback and a halter, using my legs and feel to communicate. Despite their size, horses are very sensitive and respond to leg and body movement. Michael had that squared. He was also an independent spirit. Monty told me that you don't tell Michael to do something, you ask him. We got along great. Monty was showing him in open competition, and many an owner and trainer who stood at the rail to scoff at an Arabian attempting to ever better a quarter horse had to tip their hats as Michael repeatedly took the championships. When Max had to sell Michael, I was back in Maryland helping plan a program for the launch of Arabian racing. I bought him and put him into race training. He lost but one race to Ophir by a nose when he had the flu. They shouldn't have run him, but needed the horses. Michael bettered that and went on to hold the track record for 2.5 miles. He had not only endurance, but was a true drinker of the wind, ready to go on and on. As his jockey said at the end of the race at Washington Park in Chicago, where Michael was 15 lengths ahead of the second-place horse, he was just hitting his stride and could have gone another 2.5 miles. What heart! And there again, the thoroughbred race trainers were at the rail, laughing at any horse that could run twice as far as any they could manage, looking in wonder as those useless little Arabians went around the track and around again to the finish, having suffered no ill effects. Monty asked to take Michael on the road with him. Much as I wanted him home, he was blazing a trail for the breed, and I could not shortchange that potential. Monty was competing in open stock horse competition. He trained and competed with all breeds, but Michael did more winning than with any of the others. Monty said he finally ended up in the black at the end of a season. Michael was always ready. Monty put on training clinics across the country, using Michael to show students his techniques and their application as they progressed. Monty had photographed and dissected the movement of horses through their various activities to learn what muscles responded to what movements and to what pressures and movement of the rider's body. Michael's responsiveness offered him the opportunity to display them easily. He videoed Michael's work, but they were destroyed during a rainstorm when Monty accidentally left them in the open window of his trailer. At this point, Michael had traveled so many miles and done so much. A triple champion, endurance, performance, and racing, with yet not one pimple on his legs, and being fit and unblemished as ever, he could have done more. He could easily have been a park horse, had I any interest in going there, which I did not. He could extend for speed or collect for high action, but he no longer liked being trailered and let us know, enough. I wanted him home to enjoy his days on green grass, a paddock, and barn of his own, and some mares to breed. I rode him through the beautiful park my husband and I developed in the back country of Greenwich, Connecticut, and looked out at him from my office window overlooking his paddock. I'm not sure how much work I did not get done, constantly fascinated watching him, the ease and freedom of the way he moved, his whole body like one smooth flowing part, and honestly his mind seemed on some higher level. Thinking back, I could have used him more had I not been so deep in the program I already had in place. Perhaps he would have produced a line of athletes of his own. Yet, more often, these are one-of-a-kind happenings that stand alone on the pages of history. There is no other Michael. you.